Blackhawks fans, and welcome back to Riding the Pine. This is our review of Game 4 of the 2020-21 Chicago Blackhawks season. Tonight, the Blackhawks fell to Joe Quenneville's Florida Panthers once again by a score of 5-4 in overtime. But before we get to the review, please do me a really big favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps us out a lot. It helps drive traffic to the channel and helps us grow. So if you could do that, it would be greatly appreciated. And once again, tonight I'm joined by Chice sports fan Joe. Joe, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Kyle. Thanks for having me on again tonight. Little better game tonight, but unfortunately the same result. So, but I feel like we're getting there. Progress is being made a little bit here and there. We got to crawl before we walk. So,
Yeah, definitely some positives to take out of tonight and some negatives. But I feel like the negatives are kind of stuff that we've been preaching about the last few games. So seems to be reoccurring themes happening. But what are some of the points that you want to talk about tonight for tonight's game?
yeah, I think one. I mean, obviously we know the penalty kill has to start getting better. We're allowing, it's like, and again, those momentum shifts in the game. We're okay after the first period, we're down 2-1. We didn't have a great first period. I mean, the second period was obviously a little bit better. Kurashev getting the goal and Kane getting the goal to tie the game at 3, and then taking the lead 4-3. But then again, they're a minute and 11 seconds later. The puck's in the back of our net and the game's tied, and we're trying to not make a mistake. But I like the way our power play is clicking. Kubalik had a really good game today. Kurashev had a really good game today. Even Shaw, I mean, was all over the ice today too. But I think the glaring thing, obviously, we're gonna take penalties in games. I get that, but yeah, offensive zone penalties are killers, and I think one out of the two, or maybe both of, I can't remember how many goals were off of the offensive zone penalties, but either way, the puck ends up in the back of our net. So just a couple things here and there. And I thought Lankinen played well tonight, regardless of the defense that was in front, how they played. But I liked our overall game tonight. I mean, we were one goal away, really. If the Kane penalty shot goal goes in, who knows? Which that's surprising me, doesn't it, Kyle? Because Kane is 0 for 4 I saw on penalty shot goals, yet he's dominant in a shootout, and that's like what really, it really gets me. It's like, what is the difference? I mean, there's not much of a difference between a shootout and a penalty shot, but it kind of really makes it like kind of crazy to think about that he hasn't scored a penalty shot in his 4 attempts.
Yeah, well, I think tonight he was just I don't know. I think he was. I don't know if it was nerves or got a little carried away. I mean, you have to remember that too, because you're out. Your team's trying to get their first victory out of in the fourth game of the season, and you have the potential to. I believe it was tie the game at that point, correct? Because
Yeah.
yeah, he hadn't scored the third goal yet. So, um, yeah, and that was also as hard as I am on Kubalik. That was a great, I believe, backhand pass to set Kane up for that. Uh, I guess drive. It wasn't really a breakaway, but the drive that got the penalty shot. I thought Kubalik had actually a really good game tonight. He had jump. He obviously got to utilize his shot on the power play, which everybody had been wanting, and I think including myself. Um, yeah, but I mean, we had mentioned, or I had mentioned to you that I'd noticed on off air before we jumped on tonight that humorously, after his 2 goal and assist, his 3 point game tonight, he only played 20 seconds more than he did on Sunday when everybody was having a coronary about his ice time. So I thought that was interesting. And, we had brought up before his average ice time last season was about 14 or so minutes a game. So he's within what he normally gets. And this is, this is what Kubalik is to me. He goes off, and this is like last year. I think he had a couple hat tricks. That one goal that he had where Taves passed and he literally knocked it out of midair. I think that
Yeah,
was
against Toronto. Yeah.
yeah. Like he has like stretches where he just explodes, and then he'll have downturns where he's just in a lull, and then he'll explode again. And that's fine, but to me, I guess what I want's the more consistency and the more all-around play, where you see him make the plays like he did to Patrick Kane tonight, where he sets Kane up for a goal, or vice versa, versus just getting that one-time rocket shot off that he has, or even a loose rebound, which he's been known to do. So that's like, I think a lot of people think that I hate on him. I don't hate on him. I just there's a difference between, like we've said, an A player and a B plus player, and he's still a B plus player. I mean, he just is.
Right.
He's
And
not
like I said, as long as he, if he's got good people around him, like
yes,
a supporting
right,
cast like he's going to put up numbers. And that's, I don't really, again, I don't really want to rag on him either. I want the kid to continue to put the puck in the back of the net like he's doing. I don't really care how he does it as long as he does
right.
it. So,
So yeah, he definitely was probably the standout player tonight, at least at the forward level. I thought, again, broken record, Dylan Strome has been quietly a revelation this season. And as somebody, I've been talking to, various people through DMs, and um, we were talking about how Strome had finished. They updated it. At the time it was 61, but now it's 60% at the faceoff circle again tonight. The lowest he's been all season through the 4 games has been 58% at the dot, which is unheard of.
yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, for that kind of consistency. And we were just kind of talking, if the Blackhawks had Doc and Taves right now, and then you add Strome to that with your 3 centers down the middle, that's some serious center depth. And I think that's something, with this season, you're supposed to be looking for the bright spots and the little things. And I think that's something to hone in on, because if he continues to do this, again, we're only 4 games in, so it's early, but if he maintains this, there's definitely, a lot of people have been speculating whether he's a part of the future of the core, the new core, and all this stuff. To me, he's invaluable. Like, if he continues, he was the 3rd overall pick for a reason. And
Right.
yes, everyone can say he's slow and all this, but he's been not just at the dot either. I don't want to make it seem like that's all he's doing. Like the 50-50 battles, the carrying the puck into the zone, setting up Kubalik, setting up Kurashev, that line in particular, I think has been a standout ever since Kurashev debuted. What was it, 3 games ago now?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
and Kurashev obviously getting his first goal tonight, first point in the NHL. Congrats to him. It was obviously nice to see. I think, he's a bright spot, obviously. And, that's somebody that, in theory, when Doc and Taves, and then assuming that, we get more high end talent in here through the draft, that's like a top 9 forward who could jump up to the top 6. Those are the type of guys you want that have that skill that can do stuff. So he's probably a part of your future, I think. Um,
Oh yeah, no question. So,
yeah,
and
probably not a top 6, but like he's playing now, but probably definitely top 9. And there were a couple guys tonight who were kind of MIA. I thought DeBrincat wasn't very noticeable. Um, Suter, who's played fairly well, I think, through the first 3 games. I didn't really notice him at all. I noticed DeBrincat more than I did him, and like I just said, I thought DeBrincat was MIA. And again, to pick up your point, I thought Andrew Shaw. I kind of noticed it. I think we may have briefly have talked about it on Sunday, but he's quietly having a good season. I think
Yeah.
tonight might have been his first penalty that he took. But he's not taking stupid penalties. I mean, he had 4 shots on goal tonight, 3 hits, was 50% at the faceoff circle, played 17 and a half minutes. So that's pretty good for Andrew Shaw. Um, so I mean, to me, the big problem tonight was the defense. I mean, I I think for those who listen to the post game show, they seem to like Lankinen. I would have liked to have seen a little bit better of a performance from Lankinen. But
Yeah,
again,
I don't think
tonight,
he didn't play bad.
yeah,
So I mean,
tonight was his literal first NHL game
right.
in the NHL. So, and he hasn't played in a game since last December, like in over a year. So, I consider the source because he was injured in Rockford and had, I believe it was shoulder surgery, and then obviously COVID hit, and he hasn't literally played an actual competitive game since then. So, um, what do you think about Boquist tonight?
That's what I was gonna say. I thought, I mean, because I know he left the game for a little while there. Was it in the first period? Did he get hurt and went
think it
back to
was
the?
the second, and then he
Or
came
was it the
back in the
second?
third.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he didn't stand out. I guess if that's what you're asking to me tonight. I mean, I think he
Well,
may have.
what was interesting is when he left is when the Blackhawks started to turn it on.
Yeah, yeah. So
Now, I'm not necessarily saying there's a correlation there because he did pick up an assist tonight.
right.
But I am stunned that he played again tonight. Like, I really am stunned that he played again. And at this
And
point,
yeah,
um, he's probably going to play again Friday.
that's I think maybe they're taking the approach of we need to keep this kid in there because if we take him out, maybe they just feel like he's not going to get any better taking him out versus leaving him in. He's going to have to kind of maybe learn on the fly at this point to until like you said Rockford starts to get going. But yeah, I don't know. I agree. I don't think he should have played tonight, but and maybe they just feel like Kalynuk isn't ready yet and it needs more time or vice versa. I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know, man. No, like, do you really want him sitting another 2 weeks? And I
Yeah.
don't think. I mean, let me look this up. Is Bodan on the taxi squad?
I don't know if he was or not.
But even if he is, like, I assume you're gonna want, both of them playing. So Bodan is on the taxi squad. So the taxi squad right now is Lucas Carlson, Kalynuk, Bodan, and then Mackenzie Entwistle. So I don't know what they're doing with Kalynuk. He's 23 years old, and he like I don't know. I would think you would want to get him in the lineup, and seemingly tonight would have been the perfect night to me to do it after benched Boquist, and it would be a teaching moment. Now, and Colleton even came out and said that he liked how Boquist played tonight. Personally, I thought Boquist the first half of the game, Boquist looked like shit again,
Right.
and then as the game went on, he had kind of turned it around, or maybe not turned it around, but like he wasn't noticeable and in a good way.
Yeah. Right. I mean, played that. Yeah, to where he
Yeah,
was
yeah, he
noted.
played to the point that I wasn't noticing him.
Right. So, well, that's progress.
Yes. Well, and you know what? It could be, and I know I've brought this up several times. The Keith and Murphy defensive pairing needs to be shot to the moon.
Yeah.
Like I and it doesn't make sense to me because they should be your two best defensemen, but they're awful, especially on the penalty kill.
Right. That's yeah. Well, and then because right now, were the pairings tonight? Did you had Dehan and Mitchell, Murphy and Keith, and then Boquist and who was our
Boquist was with Keith.
Oh, Boquist was with Keith. Okay, I just didn't know if
At
they.
least to start. I didn't. I was bad. I will admit to everyone I'm a little exhausted tonight, so I wasn't keeping totally tabs on the lines and what was getting shaken up and stuff. But I know to start the game, Boquist was with Keith. I believe Dahan and Mitchell were left together, and then Murphy was with Sidorov to start the
Yeah.
game.
Okay. Yeah, Zadorov. That's who I. Yeah, that's. I mean, I feel like. I mean, I don't really know Zadorov that well. I mean, I just know he's a big body. He's pretty good in the defensive zone versus he's not really an offensive defenseman. But is he more of a penalty kill defenseman?
I can't speak to what Colorado used him for. Um, I doubt they used him on their penalty kill because in Colorado's mind, Zadorov is a bottom pair defenseman,
Mhm.
whereas Bowman and the Blackhawks apparently think he's top four, and he did play about 23, just under 24 minutes tonight, which would have been. I mean, he had the second highest time on the ice next to Connor Murphy, who played 28 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like maybe I don't know to maybe try Zadorov on the penalty kill. Maybe that's a
So
bad
he
take.
did play a minute on the penalty kill, but I
Mm,
don't know why he's not on the top. I guess because they just view Murphy and Keith as the two top guys. But I don't. How many times have we seen, including in the games in Tampa? I mean, it's been a reoccurring theme where, well, I brought it up with Josh the very first game. The very first goal of the season that Tampa Bay had scored on the power play with Palat from Hedman had shot it from the blue line. I think it went off Subban's pad, and then Palat was literally standing in the slot between Murphy and Keith, and they didn't. Neither Murphy or Keith thought it a good idea to get Palat out of literally the blue paint. Like, and that's basically what happened again. The defense is getting split literally in the middle of the ice in their own zone, and
right. And
Keith
they're
Murphy,
letting the opposition just camp out in front of the net, and that can't happen.
right, and that's why, to me, if I were coaching, I'm not saying it would necessarily work because I haven't really seen it, but put Zadorov in front of Subban or around Subban to clear the front of the net. And that does a lot of things. It's not just the rebound goals, it's the deflections. There's been several goals, including Delia on Sunday, that were literal deflection goals because people were are allowed to just stand around and throw their sticks out or their gloves or whatever. And that's I don't know who's running this penalty kill. And I looked it up, and so I saw that I don't even remember the website, but they had Sheldon Brookbank as in charge of the penalty kill and defense. Mark Crawford just special teams, and then Mattel or whatever his name is just designated as defense. So I don't know if Crawford in special teams has the penalty kill or if that's just power play because Brookbank is specifically mentioned as penalty kill.
Right.
That's concerning to me. I don't
Right.
know, like if he's the one dictating. And again, I don't want to shit on Brookbank, but he wasn't exactly the greatest defenseman in the world. So, and he was always more of a banger defenseman than like, a stay-at-home defensive prowess guy. So I don't know why if that's what he is doing, if what I saw was accurate, why he's being given those responsibilities. And it's just strange because this defense should be theoretically better than it was last year because Mitchell has been excellent.
Yeah, Mitchell. I've loved Mitchell's game, and I really think he's going to be a special defenseman. I mean, is he going to be, as good as say a Duncan Keith? That remains to be seen. But I know he
I
he
would
is
say
going to
that's
be good.
his ceiling. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
if he
So,
fully develops.
um, but yeah, I think the major key I think right now that needs, because are the Blackhawks on the penalty kill, I think have allowed, what is it, 5 goals on 12 being shorthanded 12 times. They've allowed, I think, 5 goals. Is it, or more? I don't even know what the stat
It's
is.
got to be more than that because I think they allowed 3 tonight or 2
3. Okay.
tonight.
So, because I think I thought I remember Pat Foley saying that before. I don't know if it was before their first penalty kill tonight or their second, that the Blackhawks were, I think, 4. I don't know if it was like 11 penalty kills. They allowed four goals or whatever it was. But that's the main issue I think right now. That's got to get fixed in a hurry is the penalty kill, because obviously you want to stay out of the box, but we know penalties are going to happen. But the key is killing off the penalties that you do commit. So, but lately, and it seems like the Hawks, for every 3 that they commit, they're only killing off 1 of them. I feel like that's kind of the rate it's going. But um as far as again, the offense was better tonight, um but I mean, Lankinen was good too. But I mean, I love the save he made in overtime. I mean, for crying out loud, a 3-on-1, and he made a heck of a save there to keep the Hawks in it for the time being. But going to overtime, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are or what the listeners' thoughts are on this. Why was David Kampf taking that opening draw? That's just, I don't know if that's just me. Like, I mean, this is my criticism of Colleton right now, because like you said, Strome and was 60% at the dot, and maybe in Camp was pretty close by. But I mean, I think at that point you got to have your best centerman take the opening draw of overtime to get the first possession, and that's, to me, it's Strome. And then you have Strome, Kane, Keith to round up that top pair, that top spot in overtime. And you could tell that, like, I don't know if Kane was upset or if he just, if that was the instructions from Colleton, hey, if we lose the draw, come to the bench so I can get somebody else out there. And sure enough, we lost the draw, and Kane made a beeline for the bench, and we didn't get the first possession.
Yeah, I know. We talked about this too. Like, I think I can kind of see maybe where he was going for, where perhaps, so maybe if Camp wins the draw and then he goes, makes the beeline to the bench kind of deals. Um, and then you get a Strome, or maybe not even a Strome, maybe throw Kubalik out there, or a DeBrincat, or whoever. But I don't know. I mean, I just keep coming, like, to me, the offensive output was that, I think to me tonight was probably the most disappointing out of, I think, all the losses. And they did get a point, but you scored 4 goals. That should win the game.
No question.
And I
So we can tell it's really the defense, more so the penalty kill, I think, than the overall defense. But I mean, hey, penalty kill is part of defense, and even though it is special teams, but
well,
the,
we're talking about a team that had scored maximum. I think they had, what, 5 goals through the first 4 or 3 games before tonight. 1 goal game 1, and then 2 the other 2 nights. So yeah, 5 goals through the first 3, and then they almost doubled that output tonight. I mean, they really turned it on, which was, and obviously Kubalik was a huge part of that. But that's something that we've been wanting to see, and something to get the team going. And then the defense just collapses. And again, we haven't brought this up again, but a lot of people were talking about the second period being the best period of the game. I don't agree with that at all. I understand that they scored.
I think it was probably just the offensive output kind of,
Yeah,
you know,
mass, because they started off slow again.
yeah,
It was 3-1 in a hurry,
right.
and I thought, and they were giving up breakaways, and I don't know how many. Lankinen had several odd man rushes going towards him, and I'd expect that he probably had jitters. I think he tried to mask it a little bit in his post game interview. But
Yeah, I mean, any player making their NHL debut, I mean, if they say they're not worried or nervous
right.
about it, I mean, I don't think I'd ever believe them. So, but
But I mean, the third period, even though they didn't, come away with the victory, I think they did score right, and then they gave it right back up with the penalty kill. They had the lead. What was there, about 14 minutes left in the game? I
I
don't.
think, yeah. I mean, it's yeah. You get the lead, and a minute, like I said, a minute and 11, and it's not like this. At least to me, this isn't old. Like I feel like the Blackhawks are one of the worst teams as far as where we get a lead, but we just and not to say you don't hold it, but you don't hold it for longer than 2 minutes. It's like we get the momentum, but as like I said, as quickly as we're getting momentum, is as quickly as we're giving it back. And I don't know if that's more of a mental thing too. Like obviously, it was the first time the Hawks had played with a lead all year. So obviously, but you're professionals. You know what goes on in the day to day of a game. Like you're playing with a lead, so now continue to stay aggressive. But again, you take a penalty, and now you're forced to rely on your penalty kill, and we know that hasn't been good. And a minute and 11 seconds later, the puck's in the back of our net. So but it's just little things like that gotta start to get cleaned up, and more so I think with the penalty kill than anything else.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the actual uh, goal. So Kurashev's goal was at the 13:54 mark, and Carpenter literally took a penalty like 30 seconds
I
later.
think it was, yeah, that was at the next shift after the
Uh,
goal.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then they scored on the power play.
Right.
And there was only about uh so it was 7 minutes. So you had about 13 minutes left in the game, like I said, about the 14-minute mark. So, like you got it. And again, it's a young team, but then again, it was Murphy and Keefe on the ice during the penalty kill, and they couldn't lock it down. And it was because they left the guy all alone there again.
Yeah, I would think Colleton's going to have to look at that. I mean, obviously that pairing is not working. You know, on the penalty kill. So, I mean, maybe you change it up and you put more. Maybe you put Zadorov out there, or you put somebody more that can win battles and more of a defensive minded defenseman out there. I mean, and I know Keith is both, but um, I don't know,
Like
maybe
Keith
I don't
and
know.
Mitchell, and then a Zadorov Murphy on it, or
Yeah,
something like that.
right.
But
And I think that's what I'm sure Colleton will look at that and I have to. I mean, you have to change. You have to do something to change that up. So, but we'll see.
yeah,
I mean, do you think too, as far as on that? Do you think they go with Lankinen again on Friday? I would say they do, and I think
I
they
think
should.
they're gonna go to Subban. I don't I don't think Langdon was bad tonight, but I also don't think that he necessarily warranted getting another start. And I say
Mhm.
that believing that Lankinen's the superior of the three goalies. And you got to keep in mind too, uh, Subban hasn't played since opening night, and we're already, here lately we've had, game, day off, game, day off. Well, now we've
Yeah,
got
kind of a game every other day. Yeah,
now you got 2 days off because we're not playing until Friday.
yeah,
So I could see Subban getting in there, and plus, we're 0-3-1 now, and we're going into Game 5, and we're playing Detroit. So I think you might go with Subban just for that veteran presence. Plus, he hasn't played in over a week, so you don't want him sitting too long. And then, maybe Lankinen backs up and Delia sits in the stands again. I don't know.
yeah,
Um, but I mean, because Delia got two consecutive starts, right? So I don't know. I mean, Colleton said that they're going to look at who they're going to name, but that I guess, it was a weird comment that he made. He said we can't give up 5 goals a game, and it's like, well, no shit. But
Right.
I don't know how you blamed, because I can't believe I'm agreeing with Mark Lazarus, but if you think goaltending's the problem with this team, I don't know what and that's what he tweeted, and I 100% agree with him. I don't know what to tell you. And Ben Pope did like a whole article, who's usually I think one of the better beat reporters, about how the goaltending's letting the Hawks down, and it's like, how? I mean, I don't they don't have a defense in front of them. Like,
Right.
your best defenders are playing like pylons. Like, Ian Mitchell has been like the best defenseman, and he's a freaking rookie. It's his 4th game in the NHL. He's been the most consistent, at least. Dahan played okay tonight, but there's other games where Dahan played kind of like, mediocre. So I don't know. And, Keith will have a good game and then he'll have a bad game. And Murphy's kind of been bad all year, which is weird. Uh, and Zadorov is like Zadorov. He's like, he does some good stuff and then he does some bad stuff.
Right. I mean, again, Zadorov is more of a defensive minded defenseman. He's not somebody that's going to, quarterback a power play. He's not going to bring the puck up the ice and try to enter the zone and any of that. I mean, he's more to win the battles in our own end and be a big body and a nuisance in front, which that's why I think on the penalty kill, maybe he should see some minutes, because when you're in that box formation, I know he's hard to play against. Everybody said, even Kaner said, he hated going against him because he's such a big body and such, he's got such a wide arm length to him as well. He can really do a good job in winning battles. So I would like to see maybe Colleton put Zadorov on the penalty kill, but maybe he will. I don't know.
Well, he's on the 2nd unit, so I think we just want to see him bumped up to the 1st.
Oh yeah, all right, then bumped up to the first. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
to get some more time, because he had about a minute of PK time tonight, I think.
But
Yeah,
and then I think another thing too is 4 straight game. This is now the 4th straight game that the Blackhawks are chasing the game. You're giving up the first goal. You're getting behind. 1-0, 2-0, 3-1 or whatever. That's got to stop too. We've got to try to capitalize on opportunities out of the gate and start getting ahead in some of these games. And playing with leads. Obviously, we've had a lead all of a minute, a little over for in 4 games now. So hopefully, maybe being back at home and playing Detroit, maybe you'll get the guys fired up a little more and hopefully help us put the puck in the back of the net first. So
would you sit Zadorov on Friday for Kalynuk if they're not going to sit Boquist?
I
Like,
mean,
if you're not going to sit Boquist, who would you take out of the lineup?
oh boy, I mean
Because
that's
again, like, I just don't. You can't leave your top prospect or prospects sitting for a month.
yeah. I mean, I don't see any other.
And then they're only going to play. I didn't even realize this, but the AHL season's only like 20 games.
Oh, is it really? Yeah, I didn't even how many. I was going to say, what is their schedule like? What is it? Starts February 5th, and when does it end? Like April?
Well, yeah, it must end in April if it's only 20 games. And I mean, imagine, they'll have I don't even know, because I think there's, like 10 or 12 of the teams aren't even playing. It's only like
Right.
20.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I saw. I know. I don't think Milwaukee's not playing. I think the Blues affiliate up in Springfield, Connecticut, isn't playing. So I just didn't know how many other AHL teams opted out of the season.
Yeah, I think the total, I guess I can look it up here, but I think the total is 24 games. But um, it's 44, so that makes more sense. And it starts February 5th. So that's a little bit better. But I don't know. I just the
I
same
don't
thing with
think you can
Bodan.
take, yeah, I
Like,
don't think you can take Zadorov out of the lineup. I mean, I don't think you can't take DeHaan. You're not going to take Murphy or Keith out of the defensive pairing, and you're certainly not going to take Mitchell the way he's played. So, I mean, the only other defenseman is Boquist. I don't see them justifying taking anybody else out besides him. If
well, it would
they're
have to be either him or Mitchell. Maybe they take Mitchell out. I don't know. They only played Mitchell 14 minutes tonight.
yeah, I
But
don't
I
know. I mean,
mean, then again, they played Boquist less.
yeah, the the way Mitchell's played, I just I don't see them having a justified reason to take him out.
I don't
But
either. But again, we're talking about Colleton.
yeah, right. So,
And they,
but
like I said, I just maybe they will. Maybe they're fine with them sitting, but I know I wouldn't be. I think that,
no,
especially Kalanick, maybe Bodan because Bodan's 21, but Kalanick is 23, and like from everything I've heard, and this was pre the Saad Zadorov trade. Before that happened, they promised him a roster spot. So basically, he was gonna play because he was in Philly's system and he could have signed with Philly, and he didn't, and he came here. Now, why would anybody leave one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference to come to Chicago right now?
yeah, no, right now,
Unless they weren't going to get a shot in Philly, which he probably wasn't. That's basically what was reported, at least not right away. And in Chicago, he was basically promised, we will give you a shot right away. And we're in 4 games now, and we haven't seen him. In fact, again, it's not really a demotion, but they moved him from the roster to the taxi squad to bring up Lankinen and Hagel. I just maybe you know what? Maybe you sit a forward and you play a 7th defenseman, like sit Hagel that
yeah,
spot.
right. That's what I said. I think they would have to take somebody out from the forward group to play an extra defenseman. But I mean, I know I don't. Has it really? I know it wasn't Joel's. You know, mo to have 7 defensemen. I don't know if it's Colleton's either, but
Well, I mean, honestly, if they're having trouble scoring offensively, right? So if you can take one of those guys out and then you bring in a defenseman who hasn't played yet because they need to get game action, and then you can play with the lines, right? You can double shift Kane, you can double shift Kubalik, you can double shift a DeBrincat or a Strome, or it would probably be a winger versus a center, but either way, um, get Kubalik that extra time. So they changed the stats again. So Kubalik's up to 14 minutes now. His power play time is still the same, and Strome's numbers are still the same. So they're changing some of these stats, but for the most part, they look exactly the same, except Kubalik's ice time jumped about a minute.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I guess we'll see now. They're playing Detroit, which and everybody's like, "Oh, Detroit's not that good either." But
They're
they're what?
better than they were last year. I've watched a full game and then part of a second. Bobby Ryan he's a big player for them, and he's got 3 goals, I believe, already through the first several games. And Thomas Grice has been playing really well for them as well, in net. And I don't know. Zadina's looks good. They're good young prospect that they've got playing for them. Um, Obviously, you got the usual suspects, right? Dylan Larkin, and I can't believe Filppula is still playing, but he is. Um, but yeah, I mean, they're not going to be like a pushover, like I think some people think. Um, and the Hawks really shouldn't be a pushover either. But it feels like even tonight, like the defense again, it's just been so bad. And this is interesting for me because I defended the defense the last 2 years as, It's not the defense, it's the offense. They're not scoring enough. The forwards aren't playing two-way hockey. You're getting hemmed into your own zone. You're getting scored on. But that's not what this, I don't think that's the story this right now. I don't think it's necessarily because I mean they outshot them tonight. I think I don't know what the possession numbers were, but yeah, they
Yeah, I
out.
think, what was the shot totals? Shot totals were, yeah, we outshot them 34-28 tonight.
Yeah, I
So,
think we outshot them Sunday too.
oh, did we?
Blocks were even. We out hit them. Uh, we obviously committed a lot more penalties.
Sunday we were outshot by 2. We were
Okay.
29-27 Florida on Sunday. Today was,
34.
34-28. So,
Yeah, so about even, and then
yeah.
obviously today they had a little bit more better of the play, but yeah, I don't
But I'm
know. Like,
curious too. Now, obviously, we look at their goaltending situation, and not to say it's not goaltending. I'm not blaming it on goaltending. But do you think, should the Blackhawks have made a play to try to sign Robin Leonard when they were thinking about it? I mean, not to say they were going to do it, but to at least have him be your goaltender of the future, and offered him a 5 year, like a 5 year deal.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would. I don't think I would have gone 5 years. I probably would have done four.
Is
Three,
5 years what he
4.
got in Vegas? I think that's what he got in Vegas. But I think it was like, was it 5 years, 25 million or something like that?
Yeah, it was. He got a little bit of a raise, but it was essentially what he was making in Chicago.
So, I mean, and I don't know if that, again, that would Leonard have solved the, been a savior for the season? Probably not. But I just think it would have solidified our starting goaltending situation, at least going forward for a little while, and to continue to develop a Lankinen or a Delia.
Yeah, you were right. It was 5 for 5 years.
Okay, but I still think the Blackhawks should have done that. But I mean, obviously, we can go back on that all day long. Now it's over and done with. But I mean, because I did like Robin Leonard, as a goaltender. I mean, I think he's pretty solid, and he play. I mean, it's kind of amazing, where people keep talking about where the Blackhawks went from Corey Crawford and Robin Leonard to, Colin Delia, Malcolm Subban, and Kevin Lankinen. That's night and day. So,
Yeah, I would have signed Leonard, but honestly, it wouldn't have made a difference the way the defense is playing, and we know that because, I mean, when he was in Chicago, he was pissed off because the defense was breaking down in front of him and making stupid mistakes, and that again goes to Colleton. Like that's what I keep coming to. Is like we had another slow start to the second period. Literally every game this year, we've had a slow start to the second period, and almost immediately we get scored on. It was 12 seconds the other night. What was it tonight? Let me look here. Let's go back. Second period. 3 minutes in.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, but that's got to stop. Like you can't keep giving up that first like 5 minutes, first 6 7 minutes, and that's why I don't agree that that the second period was all that great for the Hawks. They obviously turned it around in the second half, but it was due in large part to 2 power plays. I mean, that's not really 5-on-5 taking over the game.
Yeah, and that's boy, what a bright spot, that's been so far. I mean, going from what it was last year it was brutal, and this year it's starting really, really strong. I mean, I think I think I saw the stat line on our power play so far. It's let's see.
Ian Cole has been traded to the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, I saw that.
I assume I haven't really paid attention much to Colorado, but I assume that's probably to make room for Byram.
Yeah,
Uh,
and so it said the Blackhawks have scored a power play goal in 4 straight games and are 5 for 12 on the season so far. So, and which is equates to a 41.7% success rate, and that's pretty amazing considering were they 20? I think they were 28th in the league last year with a 15% success rate.
yeah, it is. But on the flip side of that, like the PKs went to shit, and the PK was
Right.
really good last year.
Right. So yeah, that's like
Like I think their PK was like eighth or something like that last year.
yeah, yeah, that's like yeah, it's amazing how we've gone from a 180 to now having a pretty good power play and not a good penalty kill, and where last year we had a really good penalty kill and an awful power play. So I don't know.
This is gonna be a long year, man. Like
Right. I think we all knew
I
that.
had this team, I think, doing better than most people. Like I thought they were gonna get like 23, 24 wins. I don't. They may not even break 20.
Well, yeah, I had them like right at 20. I said they would be like 20, like 20, 31, and 5 is kind of what I had them at. But
I mean,
I
we're almost a tenth of the way through the season,
right.
and we haven't won a game yet.
Yeah. And again, I mean, any Blackhawks fan could tell you. I mean, we knew coming in that it's going to be a struggle, and it's funny to still see some people on social media like, God, I can't believe the Hawks are this bad. Like, this is just it's so hard to watch. Like, where you been the last year and a half. You knew what happened this off season. I think we all knew coming into the season what it was going to be like, and but fans like me and you and there's many other ones out there that have we've been through a lot darker days than what we're going through right now. So like to us, I think this is just kind of okay. We're, like I said, we rewound kind of back to maybe that year after the lockout where things were really bleak, but you don't know what can happen, and we hopefully, like I said, the lottery balls can bounce our way in 2021 and 2022, and you find yourself the next Jonathan Taves and the next Patrick Kane, or the next Duncan Keith or whoever. So you got to run through the trenches the next couple of years because that's kind of how it's going to be. So for any Blackhawks fan that's like, well, when are we going to be good again? you know, strap yourself in because this is kind of we're in this for the long haul here. So we just got to hopefully look at the positives and say hopefully these young guys develop and they show signs of maturing, and we build around the next core, which is going to be Kirby Doc, it's going to be Kurashev, it's going to be Mitchell. Hopefully Boquist is in there too, but that's what we got to look for. You got to look for, in a down year, you got to look for progression from your top prospects.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And just a quick note, congratulations are in order for Brandon Saad on his first goal with the Colorado Avalanche tonight.
Oh, he scored. He scored tonight for them.
Yes, so congrats to him. And before we get to the preview for Friday's game against Detroit, I want to kind of go off on a little bit of a rant. I had a little bit of a conversation on Twitter about Stan Bowman. And I'm going to preface this. I think, I don't know if you were, everything's blurring together. I don't know if you were on with me when we went through Bowman's draft previously. It may have been Josh, but I want to preface this by saying Stan Bowman, in my opinion, is not a good GM. He should have been fired a long time ago. That said, you cannot sit here as a Hawks fan and go, oh, he's ruined this team because he didn't draft right, or he ruined this team because he traded his draft picks or his either prospects or picks away and didn't get the right players back. Or and another thing that's aside from this and on the same topic, I'm so fucking sick, and I mean this to the point that I'm getting angry about it, about Hawks fans shitting on Alex Nylander. He's not even playing right now because he's out for the season with an injury. And all I see routinely on Twitter is, oh, he's a bust. Oh, he's awful. Oh, Yoki Haru's a top 4 defenseman. Oh, fire Bowman. Oh, it's the worst trade. Worse than Panarin. Oh my God. The earth is fucking falling apart. What are we gonna do? Look, first of all, Stan Bowman is not bad at drafting. That's literally the best thing he's done is draft. The Hawks, I'm just going to go through names. Teuvo Teravainen, Kevin Hayes, Brandon Saad, Alex DeBrincat, Ryan Hartman, Nick Schmaltz, Henry Jokiharju, Adam Boquist, Ian Mitchell, Philip Kurashev, um, Marcus Kruger, who else? Who am I else? Andrew Shaw. The list goes on and on. Not and most of those guys are either late round picks or high end picks or first round picks that are not in the top of the draft, including Kirby Doc, who I didn't mention. Kirby Doc was a stretch at 3. Nobody had him at 3. Most people had him at the like low end of the top 10. And he looks, and it's hard to say now because he's not playing, but before the season started, he looked like the best player of the draft so far, at least at the top 3 between Hughes and Kako. So, like, I don't know where this notion is coming from that Bowman doesn't draft well. DeBrincat, Mitchell, Saad were all second round picks. Hartman, Yoki, like all of these guys, because you have to remember, the Hawks were winning during those drafts. So those picks were late in the first round or in the second round.
Right, and it's kind of funny because, and I think what I think a lot of Hawks fans, Kyle, are looking at. I saw this tweet the other day. I can't remember who it was from, but what did it say? I think it said something along the line. Let's check in on where all of Stan's first round picks are at the moment. So like you mentioned, 2010 was Hayes. He's in Philly. 2011, Philip Deneau. He's in Montreal.
Yeah, I didn't even mention Deneau.
Yeah, McNeil.
That
Mark
was a
McNeil
bust.
was a bust. Yeah. Teravainen's in Carolina. Hartman's in Minnesota. Schmaltz is in Arizona. And Jokiharju's in Buffalo. So pretty much from his first round picks from 2010 to 2017 are either out of the league. I mean, Mark McNeil being the only one that's out of the. I think he's out of the league, and the rest are not here. So, and I think, but I do give Bowman credit because
so
the European scouting, I think, has done a very, very good job. They found Artemi Panarin, you found Kurashev. So I want to say that
was drafted.
Well, yeah, not drafted, but I'm just saying like European, like their European scouting has done, I think, a very good job.
So, and that's part of it's the same infrastructure with the draft, right? Like their scouts are excellent. But to my point, so even though those players are not with the team, that goes to my point as to why Bowman's a bad GM. Because why aren't those players with the team anymore? A, he made bad trades. B, he made bad trades because he had to, because he gave players bad contracts.
I was going to say bad contracts is the biggest one, I think.
Well, that's why Teuvo Teravainen isn't here.
Right.
It's why Brandon Saad had to be traded the first time. Like all of those guys we mentioned, Philip Deneau, Kevin Hayes, Teuvo Teravainen, Nick Schmaltz, those are top 6 NHL players. And all of them were taken from like pick 15 down. Ryan Hartman, bottom 6 guy. Brandon Saad, second round, top 6 guy. Alex DeBrincat, second round, top 6 guy. Philip Kurashev, granted, not probably on a good team, not top 6, but he's playing top 6 minutes right now, and he was a 4th round draft pick. They've got other guys in the prospect pool that look like steals that were in the 5th round, 4th round, all throughout. So the one thing that he hasn't done is develop a goalie. But aside from that, through the draft and through European scouting, as you said, from Kubalik to Suter to Panarin to Ruda to, even Forsling, who we acquired. For Christ's sake, Forsling played 25 minutes or 24 minutes on Sunday.
Right.
And then they took him out of the lineup tonight. I don't know what Quenneville was doing, but, that I would say that's pretty good for a guy that was put on waivers to come in and play 24 minutes a game his first night with your team. But, that was a prospect they got in a trade. I think it was for Dahlbeck they sent to Vancouver. And, look, like the Flyers they've taken on guys, Nick Leddy, like for Cam Barker. It's kind of recent memory that the trades have been awful. The Panarin trade, obviously, and every Brandon Saad trade. But again, the Dylan Strome trade. And that's the other thing. Like, and Nick Schmaltz might not be on the roster right now, but you have Dylan Strome, who's literally putting up about the same production.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is going on with Schmaltz? Is he still on Arizona's roster, or has he played?
I believe so. And he was one of their better players. I don't know what he's done this year. Let me look at it here. He's got 2 points in the first 3 games with Arizona this year. So he's basically matching Dylan Strome.
Right.
So this notion, and Dylan Strome's kicking his ass at faceoffs, I would assume. Well, Strome's at 50, or Schmaltz is at 56%. Let me see what Strome's at.
Was that trade just basically made to try to just reignite the both of them in essence?
Yeah, it was kind of a hockey trade, right? It was,
Change of scenery
for both of them. Yeah. So Strome. Strome's at 62% for the year. So Strome's doing better at the faceoff circle. Granted, we're only through 4 games for Strome and 3 for Schmaltz, but they're basically producing at the same level.
Same level, yeah.
And Bowman got, Perlini, who turned into Regula. So if Regula turns out, that trade's going to look spectacular.
Right.
It won't obviously make up for the Panarin trade, but that's
what I agree with you, Kyle. I don't think he's obviously found pretty good players, and I just think, but yeah, some of the trades and the contracts have really really made his, in essence, Blackhawks fans calling for his head. So.
Yeah, he deserves, I'm not defending him. He deserves to be fired. Right. But to sit and say that he's self-destructed this team, and it's the other thing that I've said for years, and I was always called the idiot, was Bowman didn't build the Stanley Cup teams. Talon did.
Talon did. Yeah.
Yeah. Bowman supplemented it, and we can debate how he did that. But whether it's Bowen, Bickle, Crawford, Niemi, Huey, Hossa, Kane, Taves, Jarmelson, he did bring Oduya in, and that was a great trade that he made.
Yeah.
And he brought in Saad and then Vermette and everything. But, for the most part, the core of the team was Talon. Seabrook, Keith, and you can't sit here and go, well, he's just you have to be fair when you're given an analysis. And I think that's my point. And that's the point with Nylander. Nylander has played 1 goddamn season. 1.
Yeah.
Don't sit here and tell me he's a bust. Did he perform the way we wanted him to? No. Is Yoki Haru the next big thing out in Buffalo? No. Is he playing well? Maybe. But you also have to remember you're talking about the Buffalo Sabres. So pretty much anybody on that roster is going to get playing time. So like this notion that somehow Bowman lost that trade, and I want to go through this too, real quick. That trade on paper was logical and sound. And everyone, I think, is attacking it from the perspective that it wasn't a logical, sound trade, aside from the production of either player. And it was. What have we been doing here on this podcast talking about for the last hour? We've been talking about when is Kalanick going to play? We don't have room for him on the roster. And we don't even have Seabrook healthy right now. We don't have Bodan getting playing time. Carlson's not getting playing time. Regula's already been sent down. He needs playing time. Vlasic hasn't even signed a contract yet, and he's coming into the organization. Chad Chris has been probably not going to be a top prospect anymore, but at one time he was.
Right.
And he's probably not going to ever see ice time. So, like, you've got all of these defensemen. You're trading away from a strength on defense, and I didn't even mention Boquist because Boquist wasn't really playing at that time either. It was only Henry. And we went for Nylander, who's got the pedigree. He was the 8th overall pick in his draft, so you're jumping from the 29th pick in the first round of that draft to the 8th. That's a huge jump. And Nylander, like, fell, I think, in that draft. So
Yeah,
already,
when was Nylander drafted?
I think he was 8th overall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he was. Okay.
And Yoki Hardy was 29th. So you're getting a prime player. His brother's tearing it up in Toronto, and his dad's a family guy, bloodline, played for your organization. You need offense. And especially that's when the trade was made. They wanted to supplement the offense. And not just supplement the offense, but bring in somebody who could supplement the offense that would be cheap because they didn't have the cap space to go out and get the money. They brought Andrew Shaw in. They brought Robin Leonard in. They brought DeHaan in and Mata at the time. They didn't have money to go out and give to the offense. So we've got all these defensemen, and that's the other thing. Mata was still here because they just brought him in. And that was clogging the defense up even further. And you had Cuckoo and Gustafson again, over and over and over again. Dahlstrom was still here. That trade, when it was made, was logical and sound as then as it is now. Will it work out in the Hawks' favor? We don't know. But to sit and shit on a 20-year-old kid who's played only like 48 games with the Blackhawks and not even a full 82 games in the NHL yet is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and I wonder if Hawks fans are just at that point where like they're so fixated on comparing him to his brother. Like, William Nylander is so good, so why is Alex Nylander? And like you said, we haven't really given him a chance yet. Let him, play a full 82 game season, and then let's make the judgments of, if you will. But maybe it's just like they see, William Nylander's tearing it up in Toronto and is a great player for them, and yet we got the how do I put it, like the defaulted brother of the pair. But it's like, yeah, you're like you said, Kyle, they're not, we can't judge the kid from when he hasn't really played that many games in a Hawk sweater yet.
Well, what's funny about that too is and then there's people on Twitter that are wanting either Owen Power or Luke Hughes because Luke Hughes is Quinn Hughes' brother, and that automatically means Luke Hughes is going to be a stud. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, right.
Like, I agree. If we don't have a top 5 pick, I would, and Luke Hughes is available in the bottom 5 of the top 10, I would certainly look at taking him. I probably, based off the stuff that I've seen and read, probably wouldn't take him in the top 5, But again, like, it's especially this year, and that's the other thing. I'm going to be very curious to see what happens if the Hawks do not get the number 1 overall pick, what they're going to do, because half the frickin' prospects aren't even playing right now. So this draft is going to be all over the place. So again, like, we're all, Twitter's a nice, viable place, as me and Josh always say. People are always trying to kill each other. But all I'm trying to make the point out is, if you're going to make an argument and argue about somebody and about how awful they are, you have to be fair about it. You can't just sit and go, well, they've done this, 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 and this, and this, and because it didn't work out, well, he's shit. No. That's like, not to get off the Blackhawks, but Ryan Pace with Mitch Trubisky with the Bears. Like, to me, getting Trubisky wasn't the problem. Like, Ryan Pace has done the same thing that Bowman has. He's drafted really well. It's elsewhere that the problems occur. And sure, you can say Trubisky was a swing and a miss, but he went for it. He traded up to get him. That was his guy. That's the stuff you want in a GM. Not afraid to make the big moves. It's just
right. And that I mean, regarding that, that's like, you're just it's becoming more glorified and clarifyingly bad because of Watson and Mahomes being the quarterbacks that they turned out to be. Now, if they weren't, if they had similar stats to Trubisky, yeah, then nobody's probably talking about this. They're just saying that these quarterbacks were just busts, and they all made the wrong decision. But anyway, yeah, that's off topic. But
I'm just comparing, like, to the GM arguments, because it's sort of similar to where they want both GMs fired, and they're trying to pin it on, like, we don't have good players, and it's like, yeah, but we do. Like, DeBrincat's a good player, Strome's a good player, Kane and Taves are still here. Yes, right. There's bad contracts, but
moral of the story, yeah, like you said, is he's drafted well, but it's been bad contracts and bad trades that have really set this organization back. That's really, in my eyes, what it boils down to. And that's why fans are calling for Bowman's head. So, but until, like I said, the season concludes where we're likely going to get a top 5 pick, but it's what Bowman does with that pick will determine a lot. And, and I'm glad he got the 3rd overall pick right with Kirby Dach. I mean, obviously he's going to be a big cornerstone of this franchise. At least here's hoping that, this wrist injury doesn't set him back.
Yeah.
But, and I was all Bowen Byram. Like I said, when that draft took place, I was like, just take Byram, this is an easy decision. And then when he took Dach, I was like, oh man, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm glad it did. So I'm not going to go into that area. So I just think like you said, the next 2 years of this team is going to tell whether we're going to be back on a solid track to be competitive again, or if we're going to be set back even further than where we are now. And that's
could get a lot worse.
Yeah. Right. So that's where we got to, put the eggs in the basket we're in. And, I mean, obviously he's made bad trades. He's given out bad contracts, but you know what? Now he probably knows he's paying the price on all of it. So he made the bed. Now he's sleeping in it. So,
yeah. Well, thanks for entertaining my rant, because
I agree. I mean, like I said, I love hearing all Blackhawks fans' perspective on this whole thing, because, we may disagree on some things, but I think on most of the stuff we all agree. I mean, you agree Bowman's got to go. I agree Bowman's got to go. But in these rebuilding years, it's like, I don't know what more you can do. You're not going to come, get new people in there and then start competing overnight. You got to see where it goes. And
well, right. And I think another thing, just to, wrap it up too, like, fans need to stop focusing on the past and look towards what we're moving towards. Like it's just beating a dead horse that, Panarin's gone, Teravainen's gone, yada yada yada. Like we have to, yes, but we have to move on, and you have to look at the bright side of things. And one of those things is when we're going to be bad, we're going to get good draft picks. And given Bowman's history, there's the track record there that should suggest that we should get really good players. So with that, let's preview Friday night's game. We kind of touched on it earlier. Detroit's coming into the United Center. Do you expect Lankinen to get the start? I think that's what you were kind of suggesting
I
earlier.
thought so, but yeah, like you said, I think you were expecting Subban because but right. I mean, at this point, no goalie has in essence run with where you have to go to one over the other two. So I would expect if Lankinen doesn't get in, then I would expect either Delia or Subban to get another start.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Subban on that because, like I said, I think him not playing for a week, they're going to want to get him in, and then they really need a win. So, considering it's Detroit, maybe they can get Subban if they can have a dominant game, maybe get somebody some good mojo going. And him being kind of the veteran of the three, I think that's who they'll turn to try to get that first victory out of the way. Do you see any lineup changes? Do you see Hagel coming back out for Highmore? Or
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say Hagel comes back out and Highmore gets back in. Especially, it's a rivalry game, so you're kind of reigniting the rivalry with Detroit. So you want to have, I like that fourth line with Highmore and Carpenter and Camp. So I think we reignite that line. And as far as I think Colleton definitely has to do something with the penalty kill pairings and just the defense in general. But I mean, I like the Dehan and Mitchell pairing. I think that's been one of my favorite pairings so far. And I think the key to Friday is you got to come out and you got to, we're on our home ice. I mean, I know the fans aren't there, but it is our home ice, and let's get I mean, I think the main key is to get the first goal, get a lead, play with a lead, and build momentum off of that.
yeah, I pretty much agree. Although I think I'm going to go with Hagel coming out and them inserting Kalanick into the lineup because it doesn't seem that like they want to take Boquist out. I think we both agree that you know at least based off play they can't take Mitchell out. So with Detroit coming in and them kind of being a little bit more of an underling team, if you will, if you were gonna again play a seventh defenseman, that's probably who you want to do it against, because you can, in theory, you won't have as many offensive threats. But again, as I said, they're no pushover, but they're at least out of the teams that were playing in the division, they're probably the team that you would do it against. And wanting to get, at least one of them, whether maybe it's even Carlson, but I think Kalanick, a lot of people are wanting to see him. So I think somebody even actually asked Colleton about that. But yeah, so I'm going to say they take Hagel out and play a seventh defenseman with Kalanick. But anyway, thanks everybody for listening. It's been a great time chatting with Joe here over the last few games. He's kind of becoming a regular, so thanks
Yeah,
for.
no, thanks for Kyle again for having me on and to talk about the Blackhawks. And I appreciate all the listeners out there, however many we have. Thank you guys. And again, if you guys have anything to add, feel free to DM Kyle or myself, and we'd love to get all of your opinions. Whatever you guys want to talk about with the Hawks and what you think they should do, please feel free to chime in at any time.
Yeah, and you can follow Joe over on Twitter at Chai Sports Fan Joe. You can follow me on Twitter at McBrooklyn48. You can follow the show at Writing the Pine 21. And again, as I say, please stay safe, everyone, and stay healthy. Take care of yourselves. And until Friday, we'll see you then, and go Hawks.
Go Hawks.